Good evening and welcome to the John Gaunt podcast. Tonight, I'm asking you a question. Do MPs really work for us, or are they just in it for themselves? As my illustration behind me shows, I think they're all self-serving pigs. And watching Prime Minister's Question Time today and watching the events of the last week, I'm more convinced than ever. They're not there to represent us. They're there to put their snouts in the trough. That's why they didn't deliver the fatal blow to Starmer the other day. That's why Starmer can stand there and be all smug and arrogant. They're all looking after themselves. If you disagree, tell me. If you agree, get in the comment box and let's have your opinion live on air. Because if you watch that Prime Minister's questions, you've got to tell me this. Do you come away thinking, thank God these people are in charge? I can really trust these people with my life, my livelihood, my future, my kids' future. No, you come away thinking, what a bunch of supercilious, arrogant prats on all sides of the house. It isn't leadership. It's not scrutiny. It's a bunch of overpaid, expense-led careerists screaming abuse at each other and laughing at their in-jokes, while we, the public, are treated like, an inconvenience. And you know the thing that really gets on my nerves? We are paying them. And they don't discuss the agenda that us lot are talking about. I mean, what's the most important things at the moment? The invasion by the foreign, illegal, flip-flop warriors, I'd suggest. The sexual assaults that are being carried out by them, I would suggest. The cost of living, I would suggest. And whether, as Kemi Badenoch said today, is Starmer stuffing his government full of paedophile apologists. That's what they should be discussing, because a 12-year-old girl was raped in Nuneaton. Families can't pay their bills. Communities are feeling unsafe because they've got all these people living next door to them. By the way, the one in Nuneaton, he was living in a house of multiple occupation. He could get up to whatever he wanted. And the violent, sick rape, including videoing this rape of a 12-year-old. They're saying, oh, he'll be deported after he served his sentence. He should be deported immediately. And surprise, surprise, he came in illegally. I read about that story. Let me give you some more detail on that story, because I was amazed. I'm getting this off the BBC website. He's an Afghan asylum seeker. He's not an asylum seeker. He's an illegal migrant. He abducted and raped viciously a 12-year-old girl. Guess how they tracked him down? By his government-funded credit card. After he had subjected this girl to this torment, this rape, which he filmed, he went and bought some energy drinks from the local convenience store. That's how they tracked him down. But the thing that's sticking in my gullet, it was a government-funded debit card. We're almost, well, not us, Starmer's almost paying them to rape our daughters, our mums, our sisters, our wives. And it's not like there's only been one incident. And I'm, of course, not saying that every Afghan illegal migrant is a sex offender or a potential rapist, but we've got enough of our own homegrown ones not to be bringing in more. I find this incredible. You'll remember this case because he's called Ahmed Mulakil. And do you remember when it first happened, the police in Nuneaton would not say his ethnicity. They would not say if he was an asylum seeker. The law has been changed, or the procedure now, because now we're allowed to know. We weren't allowed to know before. I'm quoting from the BBC website. Police said the purchase of the energy drinks was key to his identification. Why are we giving them debit cards with money on them? Why are we doing this? Why are we not locking them up behind secure fences? Do you see? Because this is the next con. Starmer's going to move them out of the hotels, but he's going to move them into houses next to you. But no one's going to be keeping an eye on them. There's going to be more rapes. It's playing Russian roulette with our females. It's an absolute disgrace. So one would have thought this might have got a mention at Prime Minister's questions. No, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Kemi wasn't as good as she normally is. I mean, she had a go at him about paedophile supporters, which we'll talk about in a moment. But where's the outrage? Where's our agenda? There's a website called We Pay Them, which is all about MPs. You can find out who your MP is, how much they claim on expenses, etc., etc. But it's a joke. What are we paying 652 self-centered, self-serving pigs with their snouts in the trough for? Oh, and there's no more PMQs for 2 weeks. They're having another 2 weeks off. If you're as outraged as I am about this, please write something up in one of the comment boxes. Have your say on the John Gaunt show tonight. Is Starmer trying to gaslight us into riots? The bloke who thought it was okay to rape a 12-year-old, an Afghan illegal immigrant, got in on a boat in his flip-flops, got put into a hotel, then got moved into a house of multiple occupation. He raped a 12-year-old little girl and then went and bought energy drinks afterwards on a card funded by you and me. I want your views. You should be fuming. And these pigs in Parliament should have been discussing this today. But no, they come out with their sycophantic, tongue up his arse questions, and he's all smug because he thinks he's survived. He's only survived. See, and this is another part of it. They decided not to go for him the other day because he said, well, if you do, I'm going to call an election and you lot are out of a job. So what did the self-serving pigs on the Labour benches do? They didn't revolt. They all said, oh, no, he's doing a great job. You saw the tweets. Starmer's henchmen told them what to tweet. They don't believe it, and they're still waiting for the moment to strike. The reason West Streeting didn't do it is because he's mixed up with Mandelson. Angela Rayner can't because of her tax fiddle. 40 grand she's got to account for. Self-serving pigs. They don't want an election yet. They only want one when they think they can win or get rid of Starmer. It could well happen next week or the end of next week or certainly after May. It's incredible. It's incredible what they're doing. They don't think about you. They just think about themselves. Something's got to change. The biggest concerns at the moment are the cost of living, so they say. But I think the biggest is that people don't want all these illegal immigrants in Britain. We don't want them. That's not racist. That's not even anti-immigrant, because I'm certainly not. Well-controlled managed immigration is a good thing. And it's been positive. But you can't just let people in who turn up either in the back of a lorry or in a dinghy in flip-flops and a designer tracksuit and a leather jacket. You can't, especially if you don't know who they are. And the pigs in Westminster almost take pride in the fact they don't know who they are. And they call them asylum seekers. They call them refugees. They're criminals. first and foremost, because they've broken into our country. What about the others who are going through the proper procedures? Do we not think about them, you uber liberals? Answer, no, you don't. Now, let's just move on from that, because this links in to the next thing. Today, Kemi Badenoch had a massive clash with Starmer. Well, she didn't have a clash with him because he acted like a spoilt brat. They were talking about Lord Doyle. Doyle. You might ask, who the hell is Lord Doyle? I didn't know either till a few days ago. But he's actually Starmer's former communications director. He's had loads of them and sacked them. But he got a life peerage, this guy, in 2025, in December. Despite, now listen to this bit, Doyle's connections to a convicted sex offender called Sean Morton. Now, when Kemi brought this up today in the Commons, Starmer said he knew that he had campaigned for Morton, the paedophile, who's a former Labour councillor, after he was charged with indecent images of children offences, pictures of little kids, right? Had not given him a full account of his actions, and so therefore Starmer said, we took the whip away on Tuesday in February. The Times ran this story on their front page a few weeks ago. Starmer wants us to believe that he never read it. He didn't know about it. It's absolute and utter bullshit. And that's when Kemi said, it would seem that you're trying to, let me get the exact quote, you're trying to, because he put him into the Lords, she basically said, you're trying to stuff Parliament with people who are sympathetic to paedophiles. She's not saying Doyle is a paedophile, but he's like Mandelson. The excuse Starmer gave was, he said, well, when I spoke to Doyle, he did, this is the quote, he did not give me a full account of his actions. Isn't that what Mandelson, or what he says, Mandelson said to him? It's all lies. It's all fabrication. I don't know why Starmer wants to give these people honours or give them the job of being ambassador of Washington. I don't know at all. But what I do know is that it stinks. And well done to Ed Davey from the Lib Dems. I bet you never thought I'd say that. And the SNP's Stephen Flynn, who didn't accept the explanation today in the Commons. And in fact, Stephen Flynn said, Starmer, you're the most gullible former director of public prosecutions in history. Taking the mick, basically. Because, of course, Starmer says, Jimmy Savile never came across my desk. Probably the only desk he didn't come across. Again, number 10 haven't asked the right questions. And I agree with Stephen Flynn from the SNP, who says that Starmer appears to be the most gullible former director of public prosecutions in history. I agree with Ed Davey, who said to appoint one paedophile supporter cannot be excused as misfortune. To appoint two shows a catastrophic lack of judgment. They're right, aren't they? They're both right. And then Kemi, of course, put the boot in. She said the Prime Minister is stuffing government with paedophile apologists. How did Starmer react to this? Well, he kind of went off on one. He wasn't happy, but he didn't give an answer to the question. Just like with Mandelson, he blames everyone apart from himself. Is this what they should have been discussing today in Parliament? What about the rape of a 12-year-old? What about the lady with 21 stab wounds in the head by another Afghan criminal not meant to be in our country? I'd love your reaction to this. I say they don't represent our wishes, our ideas, our thoughts. They're just all in there on a great big fat freebie. Look at the expenses scandal. Look at the way this cabinet with Starmer all wanted their Taylor Swift tickets. We're being taken for mugs. Us, the decent, silent majority, we're being taken for mugs. Because the pigs want us to be in a position where we can be called fascist, far right, thugs. That's why they don't like Farage, because he says he'll deal with these things. This is why our police force has become a police farce and a service with the rainbow laces. This is why we've got two-tier justice. They won't confront the reality of what their multicultural experiment has created, started by Blair and, of course, Mandelson, famously quoted as saying, "We wanted to rub the white working class his faces in diversity." That's when they let in all the Polish plumbers who, let's face it, have done a good job. But that's what they've done. And now the wheels are falling off the wagon. They can't stop the boats coming. We can't carry on like this. But when they had an opportunity to get rid of Starmer, they chose instead to look after themselves again. Because they don't want to be out of a job, which, of course, most of the Labour people would have been, because Reform would win a landslide tomorrow. They're self-serving, self-centred pigs. If you agree, please write a comment. If you disagree, please feel free to do that. Good evening. It is the John Gaunt podcast, and I'm with you for about 45 minutes if you want to join in. They all pee in the same pot. Well, most of them, says Sam Morgan. I want people to tell me whether they agree with Kemi that why is he stuffing it with paedophile apologists? What's all that about? You know what I think? Paedophile, convicted, guilty, convicted, lamppost. End of story. They're all pigs in suits, just like that illustration behind you, says Pat Burnside. Thank you, Pat. I like that. I have used that picture before, but I thought there was no better one to use tonight. They talk about scroungers, says Annette Long on Facebook, and they've always been the biggest bottom dwellers. They live off us. Careful of the word bottom, Annette, but thank you. She goes on to say, trying to get rid of this lot is going to be like taking paracetamol for a dose of syphilis. I like it, Annette. You are on fire tonight. Thank you for your comments. Right. Do you want to comment? You've seen how easy it is to do. But there is no script. There is no running order. It's just me having my little rant about what I'm angry about, and then you joining in with comments. It is the John Gaunt Show. You can beware of pale imitations. They'll all be doing this show tomorrow, the same ideas, because they won't have thought about it today. What we saw today was an abuse of Parliament and democracy again. Now, we know Keir Starmer's deluded. We know the next suit is going to get bought for him by Lord Ali. Ooh, suits you, sir. Is going to be one of those made of calico where the arms tie up round the back. Yeah? We know he won't leave. He's never lost a fight in his life. He's going to have to be dragged, well, not screaming because we'll gag him, but in a straitjacket out of number 10. But the man is deluded. And now he's very, very dangerous. And all the lick-spittles around him, they're all implicated now. I don't know who could be the leader out of all of them. So let's have a general election. Let's get Farage in there. Or maybe Kemi. She was good again today. Maybe. But stop talking about, Labour being finished. They are finished completely. Your views. Patriot Deed. These horrible people shouldn't be here to commit these terrible crimes in the first place. Exactly. But do you see any of them telling them how to stop it? I mean, it's so easy to stop this. If you wanted to stop the flip-flop warriors, I get bored saying it. You put the Navy in the Channel, if you can find any of our ships. You put the army on the beach. And you deter, you close down the hotels. You put them all in army camps, in tents, good enough for our boys, good enough for them. And then you deter them, because that's not nice. No more squeegee soap. No more credit cards. Can you believe we're paying them fucking credit cards? You deter them. You detain them. And the moment they hit the beach, you change the law so they can't say, oh, I'm an asylum seeker, which is what they're taught to say. Say, no, you're not. You're an illegal migrant. You're going off to a holding centre while we consider who you are. If you haven't got a passport, we're going to send you somewhere to be processed, probably somewhere like Ascension Island. It'll take years. Or you can go back now to the last country you came from and to the ECHR, say aye. And then thirdly, so it's deter, detain, deport. Stelios, chocks away, and we send them back. That's the only way you can stop it. Forget every other, you've got to do this, that'll put them off and do that. No, simple, hard, and harsh. I don't mean treat them individually harshly. I don't mean bread and water in the camps. But it shouldn't be a bloody holiday camp, should it? It should be more Maplins than Butlins. There's one for the oldies. Yeah? You with me or against me? Why don't they do it? I'll tell you why. Because they want a bogeyman or bogeymen. They want us to be talking about the illegals rather than the mess they've all made of the country. And when I say they, I mean the Conservatives as well as Labour. But what I can't stand at the moment is the way that Starmer gave a job to a pedo mate, a chum of Mandelson. Mandelson is their chum. And this latest guy, he's not the paedophile, that's not the accusation, but he's the pal of the paedophile, helped him get elected. No, and now he's in the House of Lords. Absolutely wrong. And are we meant to sit here and accept it? Starmer has deliberately designed his power to destroy Britain financially, to make us Brits dependent on government handouts. Pam Millett a few weeks ago, I'd have told you you're stupid, but I tell you what, I'm beginning to believe you. Caesar 1534M. Yeah, let Starmer stay there until the election and council elections. So when they get smashed, it will under his tenure, and his legacy will be traitor. Caesar, I understand where you're coming from, but look how much chaos he can cause in a day or 2 days, let alone giving him another couple of weeks. No, he can't do the job. He even looks defeated. Did you see him in the back of that car after scraping through? Evidently, he addressed the parliamentary women today, and they basically said, you're a sexist. They had a right pop at him behind closed doors. But what I can't stand is the whole culture of the Commons. They're so tribal, shouting, sneering, da-da-da-da-da. Where's the politicians who have got a backbone, who stand up for what they believe in? I often tell you the story about Dave Nellis, a real socialist. He was a Labour MP. He got chucked out of Labour by Tony Blair for having the temerity of being a socialist. Well, that's my interpretation. But he basically took the work. Are you listening, Keir? He took the wages of a skilled toolmaker and gave the rest of his money to various charities when he was an MP. I don't agree with him. I think there's no need for that. But that's what he did. Because he wanted to be like the people he represented in Coventry. I'd rather have that kind of MP than somebody like Starmer or all of the others. Do you agree with me? Love to get your views on it. Leanne Teal, John, I would not let my children anywhere near them. Thank you. You wouldn't let any of them babysit, that's for sure. 2 weeks off. Yes, that's what I said. 2 weeks off. Starmer's done away with His Majesty, part of the government. Yeah, listen, Tony, you really don't understand how this programme works. That's a good agenda item to talk about that. But I'm not talking about it tonight. Please work to my agenda or set up your own YouTube channel. Perfectly easy to do. I'm sure you've got the capability. Off you trot. I don't want you to suddenly come up with other things that aren't part of the agenda tonight. Yes, Starmer wants riots so he can bring in martial law. Well, I'm not sure about that, but I can see where you're coming from, Pam. Whenever a politician expresses concern, you know they're bullshitting. They really don't give a damn, John. Thank you very much indeed. Michael Bailey says, yes, the MPs are self-centred. They're only feathering their own pockets at the expense of the British people. They have lied, and they're not bothered about the British people. They're all trying for the seats at the elite's table. Michael Bailey, I can't find anything to argue in that. Thank you for joining in. That was on Facebook. John Godley, thank you very much indeed, John. See that? He's just donated a £5. Is it a £5? Yeah, £5. A super sticker on YouTube. If you'd like to donate some money to keep these podcasts going and indeed to develop them, because it's all self-financed at the moment, we get a trickle of money from advertising, but it's a trickle until we build the audience much, much bigger. But if you want to donate, you can. You just click on that little $sign near the comment box and put in as much as you can afford. Every penny counts. I think I am providing some brilliant podcasts, and I don't think it's too much to ask you to give a little amount of cash. £5 off, John Godley. Thank you for that. Alternatively, you can do it on www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. And there you can either buy a coffee or a beer. I think it's £5 a time if you fancy doing that. Then you get your names up on the wall of honour, so to speak. Here, I'll show you what that looks like. You've seen that? There we are. It's on the screen now. If you're listening on a podcast and you're thinking, or you're listening on Facebook, you can't see all these comments, you think, what is Gaunty on about? You need to check out John Gaunt TV on YouTube. And also, a little pop-up comes there saying, do you want to subscribe? Do so. Say yes. Doesn't cost anything. Just means you always know when I'm doing a show. Okay, simple as that. 25 likes. That's brilliant. Richard Pope. Aim here too. Restarted laptop and phone. What does that mean? What does that mean? Don't know what you're on about, Richard. Essex Steve says, good evening, John. Here's an Essex fiver from me. Thank you very much indeed, Essex Steve. Keep up the good work, John. Thank you. I will. For the, what's this one? For the love and honey, Leanne George. I don't know what that means, but thank you, Leanne. They're all mainly yes men. They know which side their bread's buttered, says Alan Beardsmore. Kemi is on fire. She's really impressive of late, says Annette Locke. Yeah, I didn't think she was as good today, but then I thought about it afterwards. She didn't. I thought she'd go heavily on the Mandelson. What do you mean you didn't check if he was a paedophile supporter or not? But she didn't. And then I thought about it later. She was preparing another avenue of attack, wasn't she? Which is, this man has no judgment. This man is useless. This man can't be Prime Minister. He hasn't got the right qualities. And when he lost his rag, it kind of proved it. It kind of proved it. Because, you know, now he's playing Billy Big Bollocks, isn't he? You know, oh, I've never lost a fight. Hang on, 15 U-turns? What are you on about? And I saw you with that punch bag in one of your publicity shots. To use the cliche, you couldn't knock the skin off a rice pudding, Starmer. Give over, you big pansy. The Labour government think the working people are their paycheck whilst they do nothing and whilst they laugh at us. Lazy, corrupt bastards, says Tina Donovan. When I said pansy, I didn't in any way imply homosexuality. You can be a pansy and be a big macho man if you want. The fact is, Labour are still socialist and they deliberately set out to impose more government control over people's lives. 14 years out of power, and their first month they increased taxation for even more power, says Tony Whitworth, desperately trying to get onto the agenda. Steve McNeese, totally agree, John. I want to know when they will think we've got enough here. Surely they must have a number in their heads. I'm so pissed off with it all. No, Steve, there's no number. A lot of people in the Labour government want open borders. Let them in, let them in. Is anybody else annoyed about the fact they're giving them debit cards? The rapist. Let's think this through a minute. He rapes a 12-year-old girl in a park in Nuneaton. He shouldn't even be in the country, but that's what he does. And I'm not going to go into the details just in case there are children listening. But it wasn't just, well, it was just horrific, right? You can look it up yourself and see what he did. He's not been sentenced yet. He's obviously going to go down. But they've got 2 or 3 weeks to find out probably exactly how old he is. I don't know. But after he did rape her, he went to the local Aldi and bought a load of energy drinks. He's on the video camera. So the coppers tracked him down by checking how he paid for it. And he paid for it on his debit card, like we all do nowadays, don't we? We shouldn't. We should use cash. But that's another agenda, Tony Whitworth. We'll do a show on cash next week. So he goes and gets energy. And again, he's not the first, is he? Who was the other one? The guy who stabbed the lady 23, 24 times in the head in Warsaw on the train station. He went back and he bought beer, didn't he? And he was dancing in the car park of the 4-star hotel he was staying in when the coppers picked him up. I wonder whether he paid on a debit card. Why on earth are we giving them a card where they can buy anything they want? No. I find it incredible. And the pigs in Parliament didn't even talk about it today. If you've got a view, you've got an opinion, I want to hear it. There's still loads of us to get through tonight. But thank you very much indeed for joining in. And thank you for making it so successful. And if you do want to donate a few quid, just press the $ and do it now. Thank you. Jackie Ward, she's a regular. Why are Starmer and many of his Labour MPs not revolted by paedophiles? Jackie, I've been thinking about that all afternoon. I don't know. Because every bloke I know, every mate I've got, right? Every relative I've got, male and female, the least they say is cut their ghoulies off. And they don't, well, they might mean it as a metaphor, but they basically mean damage them. Most blokes would string them up. Some people say shove them in a cell with the relatives of the people they've raped. You know, all of the stuff comes out, but not in Parliament. No, because they're civilised. We're the plebs. And they treat us with complete disdain. I did a podcast about this weeks ago. So then Jackie goes on to say, I cannot believe that they're not all backing Rupert Lowe in his efforts with the rape gangs inquiry. That's terrifying, reading that as well, isn't it? Every MP should be wanting to get justice for the victims. But instead, they either turn a blind eye or brush it under the carpet. They're all more worried about staying on the choo-choo gravy train than anything else. They disgust me, says Jackie. They disgust me too. The thing with the rape gangs is, look at the way they've had to basically drag Starmer to do that. Look at Jess Phillips, Minister for Equality for Women, or whatever she is. She nearly got defeated. It's about 500 votes by an extremist, an Islamist. So they're worried about that block vote. That's not saying all Muslims are going to be extremist, but you understand what I'm saying. And I'll tell you one of the major problems with Labour and the Liberals and most of Parliament, they have tolerated the intolerant for too long. And now the intolerant are biting them. That's what's going on. Do you agree? It's the John Gaunt Show. Richard Pope says Labour think they are immune They're a shower of shites, and definitely pigs, John. They don't give a monkeys about us. Thank you. Defo DD and F the rest of them. I don't know what that means. Heather Collinson, thank you. Hi, says Pam. All those who stand up for what they believe in, we're all here, John. Thank you very much indeed. Tony Whitworth doesn't give up, but he's made a good point this time. He says, Wahid Ali, known as Lord Ali, previously gifted more than 30,000 to Keir Starmer for designer suits and spectacles. He also paid around £3,550 for clothing for Angela Rayner. That's greed at its finest. Certainly good charity, isn't it? Right, thank you for that. Oh, Niven Casey, I wonder where you got to. I've been getting your emails. Very interesting. They always help me. Thank you. Keep them coming. And your donations. Thank you, Niven. You're a very kind man. Hi, John. Late to the party. I'm just so glad that the adults are back in the room and that we're all in safe hands. You sarcastic so-and-so. But you're right. They told us they were the adults. They promised us change. Nothing has changed. It's got worse, hasn't it? I'm not giving the Conservatives a free ride, by the way. Let's go on. John, what will happen if I flush my passport down the plane toilet on the way back from Tenerife? Will I get a new phone and a 4-star hotel in Eastbourne with some free money? Yes, Leanne. No, you won't. You'll get locked up. That's the great irony. When you're coming back through, I don't know, Stansted or Luton, and you're standing in the queue, and our queue is always bigger than the EU queue nowadays, isn't it? You think, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this when other people can just walk into the country? What's the point of border control? I just don't know what the point is anymore. Where are we going next? Steve McNeish. Starmer never answers a question in Prime Minister's questions. Wouldn't it be great if 1 week all the other parties refused to attend? Steve, I like your style. You're absolutely right. It's no longer Prime Minister's questions. It's Prime Minister's no answers, isn't it? You're absolutely right. And he always brags and bigs up what he's been up to. He's a disgusting individual, isn't he? He is. Useless at his job, but he thinks he's going to survive. But then with the cowards around him, maybe he will. No difference. Oh, no. Will Nick Brown scandal bring down Starmer? No, because he'll say it was before his time. And will that ever come out? I don't know. Gusty Loyal. No difference between Labour and Conservatives. They're all self-serving and treacherous. Thank you. Britain has become a shithole, and still they let more invaders in. We don't need invaders to do that. It was going that way anyway with the people who live here already, my friend. Where are we now? Oh, yeah. Leanne Tail. She says, a mate of mine works in a bookies. He told me that the Flip-Flop Warriors spend a fortune on the gaming machines. Might be true, might be anecdotal, but there's no control on them, so maybe they could. I don't know. Either complicit or taking part in the crime, says Dan the Lionheart. Thank you. Starmer wants all the rapist grooming gangs files destroyed. He's called for the same to be done. You're correct. What he wants to do is court records. He doesn't want them kept. At the moment, they're kept for basically ever, in case you want to look back on something for a miscarriage of justice, whatever reason. He's saying, they're taking up too much room. So he wants to get rid of them, as well as getting rid of trial by jury. We're on the way to the Starmer dictatorship, aren't we? K-Man says, great to see you tonight, John. I needed to hear a good rant. Well, you have done. There you are. Lionheart. Good evening, John, and everyone. Good evening. Jane Thart, 1123. This corrupt lying traitor Labour Party are just in it for themselves. They work for themselves, says Bill Tinsley. Yes, thank you very much indeed. Don't vote. Because if you do, you give them consent to be governed, to govern you. Yeah, you're right. I've heard that before. But if you don't vote, how do you change things? But does voting, well, Billy Connolly says, if voting changed anything, they'd ban it. That used to be a joke, but under Starmer, you could see that coming true, couldn't you? Excuse me. I've got a few more things to say, and then I'm going to go. Because I can't believe what is happening. So here's a few questions for you to consider overnight. Are public servants, our MPs, public servants, or just professional blaggers in ill-fitting suits? I like that. Are MPs public servants or professional blaggers in ill-fitting suits? Why do MPs never pay the price for failure? I'll take that further. You know, when people let out prisoners early and then they go on, some of them go on and commit another crime, why don't we have a situation where it's not just the villain who's recalled back to prison, but the trendy social worker or the judge or the magistrate or the probation officer, whoever made the decision to let out the sex offender? Then they commit another crime. Why aren't they put in the dock? And when people say to me, don't be so hard on MPs, I ask them a simple question. Would you trust any of them to run your business if you got a business? I'll take it even further. Would you trust any of them to babysit your kids? Or even look after your house if you were going on holiday? So that ties in with my whole idea. MPs, are they the servants of us, the public, or are they all self-serving pigs with their snouts in the trough? I've seen nothing today or the last few days during Starmer's so-called troubles to convince me that in any way, shape or form that I've been wrong. And I don't know how we change it. This is nice. Dan says you can sue a cook for food poisoning, but not a politician for for the destruction of your countries. Annette Locke says, I'd shut them in with my dogs for a week, John. now, Annette, but I see and understand your sentiment. Right, I'm finishing there. I hear EastEnders calling. What time is it? It's 18:43. You've had 42 minutes. Several people have donated. Don't forget you can donate at www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. Anything from a £5 upwards, please do that. Really, really helps. Also, you can do it by sending me a super sticker or whatever they're called here on YouTube. Please do that. Stuart Crane says, they work for their back pockets only, John. Yeah, very good. Jackie Ward's given me the old 3 red hearts, which is usually the signal to stop. Tony Whitworth says, best rant of the day, John. Yeah, well, there isn't much competition, is there, to be fair? But anyway, I enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed it. But it is depressing. It is depressing because you think, well, where do we go now? How do we change things? Why aren't they talking about our agenda? What about that poor girl, 12 years old? Oh, that's the other thing as well. I just want to mention this in passing. Starmer is so up to date and, I used to be the chief prosecutor of the whatever it is. Don't talk to me about the law. Today, he talked about an active case in Scotland and he could have prejudiced it. I'm not going to say which case it is. It's a very important political case. That's what I will say, but I'm not going to mention the person. He did it to put down the SNP guy. He's done it in Parliament. He'll probably get away with it. But I hope somebody does him for it. Not that I've got any time for the person who he was talking about. I haven't. But it's kind of, what a crazy world we're living in at the moment. Starmer got away with a beer and a curry. You know not to have cake and a glass of wine. That's very true. You were talking about up in Durham, that wasn't it? Craig Mawson, I thought you'd gone in hospital, mate. Are you okay? John, banning voting will be next on Starmer's list. I think you're right. Labour should be out now and we should be celebrating. Dream on, or Richard Pope. All right, that's me done. Like I was just saying before, I was interrupted by people trying to squeeze in some more comments. If you want to donate, go to www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt, or one word, or alternatively, you can press for a super sticker here. Just press the padlock. If you're listening at the moment on a podcast, come and check out John Gaunt TV on YouTube. It's the same show, but you get me in wide vision as well. And so I think it adds something. It's nice to have it in both ways. You know, because I have to listen back to my stuff because I'm such an egotist, and I'll listen to the podcasts. Because sometimes it concentrates your mind a bit more. Oh, here we go. Islam out. Begging again, he says. Oh, right. Is that right? Is that what you think? So you've come along to say that, have you? Islam out. Well, thanks very much. I tell you what, if what I talk about offends you so much, I'm going to make it easy for you. Because I'm pressing a little button now. Ban user and delete their comments. Click. Gone. If you don't like what I do, don't listen, don't watch. We don't need Ofcom. You got an off switch. Unless your hand is so busy that you can't actually concentrate on turning me off because you're too turned on. Is that what it is? John. Oh, well, this is what's the name? Where is it? Craig Marson. I'm watching you in hospital. Good. He was going in for brain surgery. Have you actually had it done? Have you had it done, or are you still there? Are you recovering? Look after yourself, Craig. I can't afford to lose listeners. Annette Locke, I've been banned, says Steve McNeice. Have you? Banned from where? Oh, dear. Dan says, everyone begs. Crossing a channel without a passport is begging. I'm not begging. Dan, I'll fall out with you in a minute. You can't compare what I do to some illegal migrant with flip-flops on, Adidas tracksuit bottoms on a leather jacket and a brand new mobile phone. I'm not begging. I produce superb content that people enjoy and want to get involved in. And I think that's worth some money. And so I ask people, would they like to contribute? Nobody has to. Everyone's having a go at this Islam out now. Annette Locke says, that's okay, Islam out. I'm sending him a tenner on Friday. Choke on that. Nice. Thank you very much indeed. No, see, Dan's saying, not you, Soppy. No, listen to me. It's important. In America, it's called being an entrepreneur, right? Buy me a coffee is an American thing, I think. You create work, and if people like your work, they volunteer some money. What's wrong with that? That's getting off your arse. I could just sign. Well, I can't sign on. I can't. I've tried that. They won't let me. So I'm trying to make my own little business. And slowly but surely we're getting there. Takes time. But you watch, in about a year's time, I'll have hundreds of thousands of people following me. And I'll have big adverts. It'll happen. It's always happened before. I've always built audience. So don't worry about me. Den Spink says, oh no. Ken Jones says, you need to super thanks button. You'll get more coffees then. I don't know what that is. Send me some information about it, Ken. Thank you. A few coffees coming soon to you, John, from Den Spinks. And Pam Millett says, I like what you're saying, John. You're great at helping my mental health with everything. Starmer's doing everything to try and destroy it. Thank you very much indeed. Dan, I don't like threats from you or anyone. He says, wind your neck in. I wasn't criticising you, John. Well, perhaps you should be a little bit tighter on what you write then, because that's what it sounds like. I'm doing my best just to get by, mate. Doing my best. Anyway, that's all. I don't want to fall out with you. I'll be back. What day's tomorrow? Thursday. I'll be back tomorrow at 6. Tune in then if you can. Don't forget, you can always go to John Gaunt TV and watch them afterwards or listen to them afterwards. Don't forget to keep spreading the links. Keep telling people about it. Great night tonight. Great audience size. Thank you very much. Oh, I didn't tell you about my plumbing. Was it last week I had problems with the car? Now I've got problems with my plumbing. Not that kind of plumbing. Problems with me shower. The shower wasn't working properly, so at least I got a new one put in. And I'm not being crude, but I can piss stronger than the flow that comes out of this shower. So I've had the bloke back today, so we're getting it changed. I don't know why I tell you these things, but there we are. I'll see you on Thursday. Until then, if you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Hey, hey, hey! Don't forget to tell them you love them. See ya.